Hello everyone, welcome back to my second session on novel cuisine. This is Chef Shailendra Darekar, Assistant Professor from Assessments College of Hotel Management, Pune. So let's begin our session with little bit of revision of previous session. So in last session we saw what is novel cuisine and what is haute cuisine. We also understood the history behind the novel cuisine and we saw the contribution of Chef Gord and Miller where we saw a few videos of French cuisine. In this today's session, I'm going to talk about the formula of novel cuisine, the difference between novel cuisine and haute cuisine, the guideline and salient feature of novel cuisine, and we are going to see Chef Auguste Escoffier Institute video and his legacy. So let's begin with a picture of two celebrity chef of time, Chef Farhan Andrea and Heston Blumenthal. Any guesses why they are famous? No, they are famous for the molecular gastronomy. They are the pioneer chef of molecular gastronomy. They started the journey of molecular gastronomy and research and development, and now they have their own restaurant uh, in European countries. And it is all related to novel cuisine. As we know, novel cuisine means new cuisine. So let's see what is the difference between haute cuisine and novel cuisine. Novel means new. It is one of the type of haute cuisine. The difference between novel and haute cuisine is cuisine classico or classical or more or French cookery, and where novel cuisine is deliberately broken from traditional to a modern food, where the small portion has been exquisitely and artistically presented, and that is what novel cuisine is different from haute cuisine. In haute cuisine, the complicated recipe is being processed and moreover classical style and dishes is used, especially written by Chef Escoffier, and they are very prolonged and precise dishes and recipes in haute cuisine. So that is the difference between haute cuisine and novel cuisine. Let's see the formula of novel cuisine. Chef Gold and Miller discover a formula which contain 10 characters of new style cooking. So what are these characters? The first one, a variety of dishes were served on the menu, but smaller portion, presentation of food given more important, and serving to guests with a plate presentation so that there is no spoiling of plate presentation. Individual portion was placed rather than a platter. Cooking time was reduced by using various cooking methods such as stir fry, frying and grilling. We, we can have a fantastic new modern plating at the bottom. Then the sauce was served thinner. Flour was not added to for thickening in the sauces. Cuisine made with the freshest possible ingredient. Strong marinade of meat and game to be used. They use regional dishes but inspiration instead of classical dishes, classical cuisine. New technique was used, new equipment was used such as microwave ration. Chef used to pay a lot of attention to dietary requirement of the guests, and chefs were extremely innovative and creative with the new combination and pairing. So now let's see the 10 important rules of novel cuisine while cooking. So when you talk about novel cuisine, do not overcook, use fresh quality product, local product, lighten the menu, do not be systematically modernistic, seek out for a new technique which can bring new flavors, eliminate broken brown and white sauce, do not ignore dietary requirement of the guests, do not cheat on presentation, simplicity instead of fakery, be innovative, creative, and do not prejudge. You can see fantastic different style of plating done of the dessert at the bottom. Silent features of novel cuisine. You can see again a different style of plating and garnishes. A rejection of excessive complication in cooking, simple cooking, less time for the seafood, meat, game, poultry. Not an entire bird is used. A smaller portion fillet is used. Natural flavor to be preserved by using different techniques of cooking. Steaming is more overused now. Healthier version of cooking is used. Cuisine made with the freshest possible local ingredients. More silent feature of novel cuisine. New technique, modern equipment such as pakojat, anti-griddle, backpack machine is introduced now. Chef paid close attention to the dietary need of the guest, special requirement, more emphasis is given. Chef become more innovative and creative with the new combination and pairing. Okay, adventurous pairing is happening nowadays in a novel cuisine. You can see the starter, then dessert and main course at the bottom photograph. A lot of crisp used in that plate presentation. Sauces innovatively plated and spread. Instead of regular mash, a puree of potato is used. Uh, you have microgreens used. So this is what is new cuisine or novel cuisine all about. Large menu was reduced to a smaller menus. Strong marinade for meat and games use. Uh, Heavier sauces like espanol, bechamel is chucked out from the menus, and moreover thinner sauces, butter sauces, pan juice are introduced in the cuisine. So that is what are silent feature of novel cuisine. Let's see the Escoffier video.
Welcome to the Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. The culinary field is a fast-moving world where skill, passion, and a zeal for perfection all intersect. It's not for everyone, but for those savoring a truly extraordinary career or is an enthusiast, the experience can be life-changing. At the Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts, our promise to provide you with the most professional training begins with the name in our name, Auguste Escoffier, the father of modern cookery. This French chef, who lived at the turn of the last century, is on par with Edison and Einstein in the transformative influence he had in his field. Escoffier, with his methods, techniques, and recipes, revolutionized the culinary world. His influence has not only infused into everything we do at the Escoffier School, but still guides some of the most celebrated chefs today.
I think that Auguste Escoffier is really sort of the backbone to almost everything we do as chefs.
Before him, the modern restaurant as we think of it today didn't exist.
And Escoffier, to me, means so much because everything that I do on a daily basis, he was the person that set that in motion.
He was a genius in cooking at the time. He was a visionary. He was a great communicator. He touched the lives of both rich and poor with his warmth and artistry.
Escoffier could be likened to Steve Jobs. He may have been the Steve Jobs of his era.
For the culinary world, Escoffier is, I mean, he's the big guy. He's the, if we had to put a face on the Mount Rushmore of food, that would be him. You know, he's the president, he's the George Washington, whatever you want to think of it. He's that guy for the food world.
In 1846, Auguste Escoffier was born in the French village of Villeneuve-Loubet, where the Escoffier Foundation and Museum exists today in his childhood home. While he showed promise as an artist, his true talent became apparent when he apprenticed at his uncle's restaurant in Nice. At that time, cooking was not a profession held in high regard. It was a hot, thankless job, rife with uncleanliness and disorder. And so it might have stayed, if not for Escoffier. After a stint as an army chef, he reorganized the kitchen into a military-like brigade system with a clear chain of command headed by supervisors overseeing workers with specific duties in specific locations.
It's basically an army tackling the jobs, and he's the one that kind of said, hey, here's the general, here's the privates, you know, go at it.
There's a lot of things in the kitchen that I think people don't even realize are in place because of Escoffier. You know, the fact that we have a system where there's a chef de cuisine and a sous chef under that and chef de parties under that, kind of the hierarchy of the kitchen and its staff is really because of him.
He was very, very concerned with the atmosphere in his kitchen. He brought pride to the profession. He stressed the importance to run a clean, hygienic, and safe kitchen. We talk about sanitation in today's kitchen. He was well ahead of his time. He believed that well-trained chefs produce truly exceptional food.
In 1890, Escoffier worked with Cesar Ritz of the famous Ritz-Carlton brand. With Ritz, Escoffier transformed the new Savoy Hotel in London into the place to be seen and experience culinary excellence. The pair would eventually move on to manage the Ritz Hotel in Paris and the Carlton Hotel in London, each time with growing success. Escoffier made many innovations at these hotels and changed the way food was served at the table.
He abolished the system where all the food came out all at the same time. And he created service like we do now, which is the food comes out as the guest requested in the order in which it should be eaten. He created that. And I think that that's important to note, that not only was he a culinarian, his influence spread to the front of the house.
He invented countless new dishes, often inspired by guests of the hotels.
I love the fact that Escoffier, when Dame Nellie Melba came, the opera singer, he designed a dessert just for her, which is peach Melba, of course. And then 5 years later, he invents Melba toast. So the idea that some of these recipes he's created are, you know, they're in our lexicon of culinary language now.
Escoffier was also the first chef to organize the kitchens of the luxury transatlantic ocean liners of Europe. On several occasions, he was also asked to plan events and cook for kings and queens. He was fascinated by food science, particularly methods of food preservation. He pioneered the practice of canning tomatoes, helped develop the bouillon cube, and created his own series of bottled sauces and pickles.
Escoffier, to me, is the father of modern cooking. As crazy as we can get with food today, I mean, if you look at molecular gastronomy or the different food movements that are going on in this industry, are the ones who are using Escoffier as a base.
And he held exceedingly modern views in appreciating the symbiotic relationship between food supplier and kitchen.
Escoffier was by far an innovator. Today, our focus, you hear a lot of that, we hear that with the Escoffier School, farm to table, sustainable agriculture, utilizing natural, wholesome ingredients. Well, Escoffier believed in that back then. He was getting asparagus from France, from the source, from the farmer, from the people that were producing those asparagus. So he had already that in mind. He was way ahead of his time.
And he was prolific. He authored over 5,000 recipes in his 8 landmark books, some of which are still published today. Le Guide Culinaire is today considered the Bible of classic cuisine.
Escoffier wrote and documented all these thousands of recipes in one snippet of time in the world of cooking. But he was smart enough to know that time changes and people's tastes change, and he allows for so much flexibility in his food and his recipes. So he had a real vision of what food was at the time that he wrote it, but what food could be with some evolution.
But Escoffier didn't just focus on food, but also on the social concerns of people inside and outside his kitchens.
His mantra is that you started every day fresh. So he gave all his food to charities, to the poor, and paid for it to be transported. And he was the first humanitarian. He was the first one to understand that cooks get injured, cooks are retiring, chefs. he felt a connection to them. And I think that in this day and age is pretty remarkable.
Escoffier died on February 12, 1935, earning the moniker King of Chefs and Chef of Kings. His influence was substantial then and continues to live on.
I have the honor to be the president of Disciple Escoffier International USA. It's a premier gastronomic society that was established in France in 1954 to maintain the good name and tradition of French cuisine. And of course, their goal is very simple, to honor the memory of Escoffier in France and around the world, to promote and preserve his work, to maintain tradition, because it's very important to maintain the tradition, and to promote culinary education and apprenticeship to young people and to motivate them to become professional chefs.
If I could describe Escoffier in one word, it would be foundation. So to me, he's the foundation of cooking. There's a lot of historical relevance to what he's done, but he's still relevant to me today, and I use his cookbooks and some of his ideals every single day.
To say that he's the father of modern cooking, I think, is almost an understatement.
Escoffier means a lot of different things, but first and foremost, inspiration.
The base where all modern cuisine that we do now comes from is what Escoffier was doing 100 years ago.
That foundation of being a chef, how to act, the setups in the kitchen, even being inspired by the food of the land and seasons and things like that. You know, all of that is reference to Escoffier and how he cooked back in the day.
We are proud to work with the Escoffier Foundation and Museum and Michel Escoffier, great-grandson of Auguste Escoffier and a member of our advisory board.
That is all about Escoffier and his legacy. These are my references which I use to prepare this video. Thank you so much for watching my video. Have a look at the fantastic plate presentation at the end. Two photographs of plate presentation, modern style of plating. Thank you so much again, and I request all SMS students to go and click the link in description box and attempt the quiz which is based on this video. Thank you so much again.